Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Blocked. Today, I have two of my bestest friends here with me. Which one of you would like to introduce yourself first?
Hi guys, my name's Elijah Lakritz. I'm a third year at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles.
And I'm Emilio Calton. I'm a fourth year at the University of Oregon.
All right, thank you both so much for joining me today. Today our topic is going to be overwhelm freeze or paralysis. It goes by quite a few different names, but today Elijah and Emilio are both going to talk about kind of what it feels like and their experiences with it as two separate people. So the first question is basically, how would you personally describe this term that we go through?
I guess I can go first. So yeah, like that like kind of freeze and paralysis is kind of an interesting thing because I feel like when I think about it, I don't really know that I'm in that state until I'm like out of the state, kind of, almost. And it can be like hard to like realize what's going on because a part of like having ADD or ADHD is like always kind of normally being anxious like anyways is a big part of it. So I just describe it as like kind of like this overwhelming like wave of like I have so much to do, like, and it's like very hard to like center yourself and like ground yourself is kind of the feeling. So it's like you can't really focus on one thing because then your mind jumps to another thing like without kind of any control, and then like it's kind of like a rabbit hole in a sense. So
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. It's like similar to that, the way I feel it. Or it's like it'll start like by saying like me telling myself I have to go do something, and then I realize that there's another thing and another thing and another thing, and it's like it doesn't necessarily overwhelm me, but it's like almost like a looming figure in the background that makes me just like, all right, I'm just not gonna do any of it. Right?
Yeah.
I start to like shut down from that, and it's like, okay, now it's too much to do. How do I get this done? And I start to just shut down over all of the tasks that I probably have to complete.
Okay. Well, so like I feel like the common thread between like the two feelings that I can like digest is it just feels like so many different things piling up. It just feels like it grows and it grows and it grows, and it's really hard to just take control of that situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And so with that in mind, what?
I was just gonna say it's like that's a really good point, and I also think that it's like that whole the reason we like kind of retreat away from doing things might seem like super counterintuitive, very obviously. So like I want to give a little more context on why, and it's like we kind of do that more because, at least for me, from what I found, is that it feels safer. So it's like the comfort and like familiarity of like knowing that if I go into myself and I just completely like self-absorbed in my head, then I won't like actively experience the anxiety of those things. And sometimes that's like the only coping mechanism when you're in that state that seems like viable. And it's taken me like a long time definitely to like work on tools that help with that, which we'll talk about later. But
yeah, for sure. But since we're talking about kind of like going into yourself, could both of you try and describe what it feels like when you're aware that it's going on? Because I know, Elijah, you said you're not always aware of it, but could one of you try and put into words what it does feel like when you're in that moment?
It kind of feels like a slow weight like pressing down on your shoulders. Like if we're talking like physical, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
Right? It starts feeling like you start feeling like you like something's crushing you, like a compressor, basically. Right? And that's how it feels in my mind as well. It's like, I'm never going to get any of this done, right? People are going to start looking at this, and it's like for example, if it's like a messy room, right? Or like I have to vacuum, I have to clean my bathroom, I have to clean the floor, I have to dust the shelves, or I have to clean my desk. All of a sudden, that's what happens, and then I start thinking, oh, people are going to think I live like a pig. People are going to think that like I'm a slob, right? and then on top of that, like, I might have to go and let's say I start cleaning, and I don't have enough garbage bags. I don't have enough disinfectant wipes or any spray or anything like that. I was like, well, crap, now I have to go get this, and now I just don't even want to do it anymore. So it feels like it's just like crushing you almost.
Yeah, I feel like the way you're describing it sounds like when you're trying to pick up water with your hands and then it just all starts like pouring out of like the cracks in your fingers and you're trying so hard to make it not, and then it's just quite literally the damn breaks.
Or when you're like pouring, this happens to me so much, like when you're pouring water into a cup of ice and it's like it hits like there's this, it's really specific, it hits this one specific angle of the ice and it starts spilling out, and you try to do it like slower, you try to like pull back, but it continues to go, and like, or like, okay, I'm gonna try it at a different angle, and then at that different angle it does the same exact thing.
That's such a niche way to describe it, but like I know it's like just disappointment, like, oh, why did it have to do it like that? Would you agree, Elijah?
Like everything you put in just keeps like going, it's like in one ear right out the other. I totally agree. Bounces right off and you're like, this is doing nothing, this is not productive, like I'm shit at this, like this is not going well, oh, I should try this thing. It's just like it really is.
Elijah, how does like the experience of it feel a little bit different than Amelia's? Because I know you said that you have ADD. Like, does that do you feel a difference in the way that like Amelia described it?
I mean, I think it's pretty similar like that. I just think that for me it's more like a mindset thing. Like I get in a negative mindset when I have a lot of shit piling up, and I'm like, oh fuck, like I put this on it's so much, and like, oh my god, I don't know like how I'm gonna like get out of this and things, and then I kind of start spiraling into it. I'm like, oh, and I don't like know how to like justify it, but you just are like, this is way too much, like I need to like step away, and then you don't do it, and it's just like, and then you come back and you're like, oh, I'm like good now, but then it's like too late to do a lot of things, or maybe you have to half-ass them because it's so like late that you should do them and things. So like that's like, I guess more a little bit different for me. It sounds like, and then also like the main way that I help myself, I think, kind of get out of that when I'm like looking at school is like when I actively know that I'm in that experience. There's like certain things I do. I call them like ants, automatic like negative thoughts. So they're just like little floaters that'll just pop up in my head.
You call them ants?
Yeah, automatic negative thoughts. They just float around in your head. They're little fucking bugs, and they crawl around, and they're just annoying. And you just squish them. So it's like when I like get those, I feel them floating around, instead of letting them build up, which is so easy to do. I'll try and just like say, like affirm that that's not the case. Or if it does happen and it, like I get in this big thing, I kind of like take 10 minutes. I like just say, all right, 10 minutes, go breathe, and then I come back and I say the best way to like set yourself up so that it doesn't feel like there's a million different parts that have no connection, as I like to do like bullet points for every assignment and just kind of like lay out like what needs to be done.
A to-do list, basically.
Yeah, so like the structure behind it. So like people with ADD or like that kind of thing, like I feel like structure is the absolute like best friend of that, because like when you have structure and you can rely on it and you have like a method, it's definitely like easier to help yourself. But it definitely is like really hard to build those methods in the first place.
Oh yeah, I can agree, because I know, at least like for me, like I don't think this is something I deal with like on an absolute daily basis, but I do have moments where it builds up because I don't know, like being in college is a little stressful sometimes. So I know for me, I have a planner, because if I do not write like my work down, I cannot for the life of me get my work done. It's like I have to write it down in order to know that it's something I have to do. But then there's also that stress of like looming, of checking the checkbox. So I do understand that part. I do understand that. But I really like how like it's a very universal experience, but at the same time both of you are going through it and feeling it in different ways, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
But okay, this is fun time. This is sharing time. Do either of you have a story to share of maybe one of your not so fun experiences of dealing with this, and like what that felt like? Which one of you wants to go first, or do you need like a second to think?
kind of in one right now, or like just finished getting out of one. I basically have this class that I don't like as much as I would, and it's a very like hefty historical analysis paper that's been like just drudging on, and like I said, I was just like so overwhelmed because it's like 5 pages. It covers like I think like 14 different sources, and it's like, where do you even start? You know, like going through that. So it was like when I realized what was going on, I kind of realized it pretty late into it. That's the thing, is that people don't understand that like it'll go on, like it also has ranges. So it can go from like a mild case of that, less or more so or less in my opinion, to like a very extreme case, and it can also like last for like days and stuff. So
was this an extreme case you're talking about?
Huh?
Is this an extreme case you're talking about?
This is more like an extreme case, or like a medium to extreme. So then I realized it. So now, like, what I did is I broke down the main points of every single article I had, and then I just put them in a doc in like a order. And like, then when I came back and look at it, I'm like, okay, this makes a lot more sense, because I can just kind of like guide my brain through the process. Because the hardest thing is trying to get things in order when I'm in that state. It's like it feels. You take everything and then you just like scramble it all, and you're like trying to put it back together. So it's just like an easy way for me to like pull myself out of that. And I'm currently doing it right now. So I'm going to finish up an essay when we're done with this podcast.
That's exciting. How's it going so far?
It's going.
It's going. Okay, Emilio, your turn.
Okay, so I kind of went through one last fall, not like 2022, 2021. And it was like, what had happened was, so my car had broke down earlier, like that month.
Oh, I remember you telling me about that, yeah.
Yeah, I had to get a new one. And it was the first time I've ever had car payments. And then on top of that, like, I got, so like that, I knew like, okay, like I'm gonna have to pay that at some point, right? And then on top of that, like, second week of school, I got an email about like the SOJC, which is like where I like the School of Journalism. I'm a journalist major, so I wanted to get into that. And I go and look at the requirements, and it's like, oh, you need like a 2.8 GPA at minimum to like qualify, and like all these other writing courses. I'd already done all the different prereq courses, and then like I like look and I'm like, okay, like my GPA is not there. Like I'm literally a 1/10 of a point off from there. So I know, or like I was like 2/10 or something like that. It's like I'm not going to get in. And so I looked up. I was like, okay. I called my counselor up. I was like, hey, how am I supposed to get into this? Because like, you know, we're coming up on this is my 3rd year. Like I want to be done soon.
Don't we all?
And so then she was like, you're going to need to write a petition. You need to get like 5 sources of work. You need to get get a letter of rec, and you need to get and you need to write like an essay on why you should be in here. And then on top of like my classes, which they weren't necessarily hard, but there was a bit of like busy work. Like I still want to like do well in these classes to like bring my GPA up as well. And so that, and the car, and then having to write like the petition for this and like wondering, like, even though the petition is not a guarantee that I'll get in, right? It just started, and then like rent as well, and like I didn't have a lot of money at the time, so it was like, it was a lot. And so I just kind of froze up for a second, and I did like, you know, I did break down for a second. I was like crying to my parents. I was like, this is so much, and like but I know I have to do this, but this sucks and I don't want to. And I just like stopped right there. And it was just like I that night when once I figured out what I had to do, I was like, oh my god, this is too much, you know. But yeah, that's what happened with me for that one.
Yeah. Was there any way that you can kind of ease your way out of it, I guess I could call it? Because I know like sometimes it's just you have to sit and suck it up and deal with it, and it'll like pass. But is there a way where either of you have kind of figured out that helps you ease this issue? Because I know Elijah said like making a list and trying to like organize yourself in ways where you can.
So mine is like really, like, the way that I go about, like, for lack of a better term, it's, like, aggressive, right? I will just start, like, even if I know I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyways, right? And in a way of, like, in the same way that things, like, fall on top of you like an avalanche, I just start doing it in a way that I just start doing things, and I know that if I start doing things, then that's going to cause an avalanche of me to do the things I need to do, right? So, like, the story I just shared, that was, like, obviously those things are more like a long-term thing.
Right.
Right? But if we're talking about, like, homework that's due, like, in, like, a day or two, my room is a mess, my laundry's not done, right? Then, like, you know, I just, like, for lack of a better term, it's like, you know, kick the sheets and just start doing things. My thing is, like, don't think about it, right?
Mm-hmm. Just like, do it.
The less you think about it, the more it's going to stress you. Or the more you think about it, the more it's going to stress you out. So you just stop thinking about it, and you start just, like, you know you have to do these things anyways. Just go for it, right? And I understand that's not, like, I'm not saying this for everybody. Like, not everyone has to do this, right? That's not everybody's method. This is just mine. And I'll, like, for example, like, you know, like, I'll start, like, all right, let's go clean out the dishwasher. Once we clean out the dishwasher, let's go do the laundry, right? Like, let's work our way towards our room. And finally, once all that's done, start the homework, whatever you have to do.
It's kind of funny because you're portraying it in a way where you're talking about keeping busy, but at the same time, your brain is moving like 1,000 miles a minute, which is already why you're feeling like that.
Yeah. But, like,
do you have, like, an adrenaline rush?
It's like using the momentum of your brain going 1,000 miles a minute, use that to your advantage, right? Just start doing things. Yeah, and then, like, you know, things might pop up, but it's like, okay, yeah, cool, add it to the list. Kind of like Elijah said, like, make a list, right? I don't do a lot of lists. I'm not saying, like,
I'm not a list guy.
No, I just never make lists, and, like, that's something I have to work on. But I will just start doing things, and then as I do things, right, things, yes, they add up, but, like, it falls into place at the same time.
Elijah, is that something you also do? You try to use the chaos undergoing in your brain as like a push forward to get stuff done, or do you have to, like, try and deal with it first before you take that extra step?
I don't know, because definitely that's, like, a hard thing to do, because it's really hard to, like, get out of your head, and overthinking is, like, a very chronic issue of, like, ADD and shit, and it's just, like, and anxiety and whatnot, so it can be a little different for me to switch that light is a little bit harder and, like, a little bit of a different method, I feel like, because, you know, like, when I'm faced with that kind of stuff, like, let's say a similar situation with, like, minor assignments and things like that might be, you know, like, piling up, it's really hard to, like, get my brain to just stop moving at 1,000,000 miles a minute and be, like, and it's, like, the big thing, like Amelia is saying, like, being, like, present in the moment is a skill that is hard to learn when you struggle with something like that, but, like, once you do learn it, it's pretty great. But definitely, like, resources, just, like therapists have helped me give me, like, some tools to use internally that I can, like reaffirmative talk to myself, saying, like, oh, that's not true, you got it, like, nah, just stay focused, like, when you feel yourself wandering and things like that, help me. And then I'm also, not gonna lie, I'm also on medication, so Adderall helps.
Hey, sometimes we need it to help.
I'm on mission.
Going off of, like Elijah's thing about making a list, I totally get that in a way, because I just, like, there are times when it's like I still put things off, right? So what I'll do, and, like, to stop me from stressing out about it, I set a date, right? Like, there's, like, for example, like, let's say I don't have class that day, or I don't have work that day. I'm like, all right, like, let's say it's a Monday. I'm like, all right, on Saturday, I'm getting it all done, right? That's when it's gonna happen, right? And yeah, it's, like, it's, in a sense, it's like procrastinating. I get it, but, like, if I set a day for it, right, I don't have to worry about it anymore, right?
It's an issue for a different day.
Instead of, like, spreading it out, right? I'll just take a day to do, like, clean my room, get this homework that I know is due the next day done, like, get, like, a bunch of errands done. Like, if I have a day that I'm going to do it, it's not going to bother me anymore.
Right.
Right. So that's another way that I'll deal with it at some point too. It's like I'll like, hey, it's going to happen, and there's no way around it happening.
Gotcha.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, do either of you have any like last minute comments or concerns or anything that you want to talk about? This is the floor.
Yeah, will this be public? I'm kidding. I don't care.
Obviously, this is public. Everyone say hello to my graphic design class. Hi, guys.
Hey, guys.
No, I think we covered it pretty well. I think like the last thing I would say is that that's like exactly what I do. What Amelia was saying, like it's a good thing to set a date and just like set aside like a specific time, block it out, make that schedule for you, create that structure. It's helpful. And then like one thing though is sometimes like you'll get there to that day and then still not want to do it. And you're like, oh, like why? I'm so bro. I just don't want to do it. I hate this assignment. Even when the day comes, you're like, I know I need to do this. And you know, like thinking about it, I kind of like try and tell myself every step forward is a step like in the right direction. So like while this might be not the thing that I want to be doing, it still can have benefit for me. There are days I don't enjoy going to the gym and it hurts and it sucks and there's exercises I hate, but I know it's making me like a physically stronger and healthier person. So it's like there might be things I don't like doing, but I tell myself that the consequences of learning are never going to be higher than just not. So it's like self-talk too as well for me, but that's like the only thing.
That felt like a TED Talk. I'm not gonna lie to you. That really felt like a TED Talk, that last tidbit. In the best way possible. It felt like a TED Talk.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, Amelia, do you have anything you want to add?
No, not really. I think we covered all of it.
Okay. What's this, Elijah? Why'd you put your hands up?
Yeah.
Why did you put your hands up?
Yeah, I did. I was like, my bad.
My bad what?
No, that was good. That was good.
Alright. Well, thank you both so much for joining me on Blocked today. I'm super excited for next week as well. I have 2 other magnificent guests joining us. But thank you both. Say your goodbyes.
See you later.
Thank you to Morgan's graphic design class.
Yeah, hope you guys enjoy this. Stay tuned for next week's Blocked.
Bye.